Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To help keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stokes Seeds. Pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes' 2017 Gardening Guide and their online articles. Whether you're adding texture through foliage, choosing a new variety for a splash of color, developing an existing garden, or starting from scratch, Stokes Seeds has some great catalog and online resources to help you through the process. Enjoy gardening tips and gardening trend forecasting from their garden writers and favorite chef. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stokes Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. We'll have more to come from Stokes Seeds in the next few weeks. For now, today's gardening question. I have a question about my grass. I laid down some sod last year, I think about mid-September, and it still hasn't quite rooted all that much. When I laid the sod, I turned the soil, spread some fertilizer, low nitrogen fertilizer, and gave it plenty of water twice a day for a few weeks. After a few weeks, I began a more regular watering schedule. I was in the yard over the weekend cleaning up a few things when I noticed he was able to pull the corners of the sod back, and if I drag a rake over the grass, it wants to come up. Now, the grass itself is green. It's been growing, looks relatively healthy. Any recommendations on what I can do to get it to take root?
Well, and that takes me back to an extremely frightening experience many years ago that turned out to be much like what Mark's asking about. We ran way late into the season, a sod finish to a job, etc. The truck showed up. 10 guys from various crews ended up on the site. We got the sod laid, washed the driveway down about 5:30 that evening, just at dark. And lo and behold, as we drove off, the temperature was dropping, and it had frozen by morning. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, frozen. It stayed that way week after week after week, which I guess turned out to be a blessing. As to his concerns, I'm extremely pleased that he did continue to water. He kept at least the sod pad moist enough that the roots are growing in that sod pad. His neighbors will think he's flaming crazy, I'm sure. But even now, where we're having, well, a little different type of January, Lord knows about February and March, but any time that it is above freezing and it seems like he can pull up the corner of a roll or two more easily, or at least easily yet, I'd run the sprinkler for an hour or so, try to wet that surface down again, unless Mother Nature's doing that by melting snow or rain and so on. I'm going to suggest that I don't know what will happen, but he certainly has done the right things to date. Ignore the neighbors or warn them that you're going to water your lawn in late January, so they are less suspicious of you. But at the same time, continue on with that, Mark. And what is happening is the sod pad probably is drying from the edges, much like a piece of bacon will fry from the edges and kind of stand up in the skillet or whatever it might be. Those spots are going to be apt to dry down and possible death in the sod pad. However, I'm going to bet those are corners of maybe 5 or 6 inches. They're going to be a little bit polka dot in your lawn, or could be come spring. But I think you'll find, and I usually use the rule, that if a basketball size spot in your lawn from a weed, you've burned out a weed or you've done whatever, if it's less than the size of a basketball, the runners, tillers from the existing grass will grow over and fill that within one season. So the chances are you won't have to do much more. Do defy your neighbor's feelings of common sense. Water if necessary, or at least the areas, or even if it's just a small area, a sprinkling can full of water, and then you can surreptitiously do it either early morning or late evening so your neighbors don't see you. But in any event, I would bet that there are going to be some success there. All steps, as reported there, are the right ones. The fertilizer probably has not taken a hold yet. It would be let's just say dissipated into the soil. I don't think that's the right word. But anyhow, it'll be ready to work as soon as the roots are ready to grow. There can be some spots. If they're the size of a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, a basketball, whatever, I would not worry about them. Certain anguish that the lawn isn't a brilliant green all over. But I think he's in good shape based on that one experience that just scared the daylights of me, because I could see the written warranty, the spoken warranty, the prayers all being wasted. And that lawn came along fine in the spring. Now, the guy did follow up, much like Mark has done. And he then did follow up with, because we had chatted, believe me, we had chatted during the winter. And he followed up with the sprinkler in the spring. His neighbors got past the notion that he was flaming crazy, and he ended up with a very good lawn.
So when spring does come and it's getting warm and the grass starts to grow, just a regular fertilization process now?
Right. Yes, and I'd even be sure in that case to use a slow release. And I always recommend that for that matter. It costs a little bit more, but it gives the lawn a chance to pick up the nutrients over a longer period of time instead of a flash start and then dissipated later on. So I would do that, if anything, in that he will have to judge how much fertilizer he used, stayed with bag directions or used half or whatever. I would go accordingly then. If he used half rate under the sod, then I would go half rate with the new application in the spring, just so he doesn't get into any chance of root burning. That is highly unlikely in the first place, but it's just one of those things to be a little bit careful of. And then do drag the sprinkler around and give the grass a chance. Now, if there are larger spots showing and the grass is still loose, let's just say well into spring, this is going to be one of the rare times where I recommend getting a roller, fill it maybe only half full of water, wait until the lawn is not sloppy wet, but moist from either your watering or rain. Just drag it over to kind of press those corners down. If they're more than what the ball of the foot will press down, just get a slight contact going. And with the sod within the pad that it came with is still viable, and we'll hope it is, it'll send roots on down through that freshly, almost freshly fertilized area.
Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To help keep this podcast free, we're partnering with Stokes Seeds. Pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes' 2017 Gardening Guide and their online articles. Whether you're adding texture through foliage, choosing a new variety for a splash of color, developing an existing garden, or starting from scratch, Stokes Seeds has some great catalog and online resources to help you through the process. Enjoy gardening tips and gardening trend forecasting from their garden writers and favorite chef. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stokes Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, harvesting, plus all the gardening accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Get growing with Stokes. We'll have more to come from Stokes Seeds in the next few weeks. For now, today's gardening question. Hey, thanks again for listening to the podcast. Remember, you can pre-plan your indoor seed starting program with the help of Stokes' Gardening Guide and their online articles. For the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to stokesseeds.com. Cultivating successful growers for generations.